He's a former Ball State University professor with over 15 research publications, primarily on applied sports psychology. He is a graduate of Tennessee and Temple University, and lives right here in Indianapolis with his wife Nicole and their 2 children, daughter Ryan and son Porter. And of course, you can always follow Dr. Rob on Twitter at Dr. Rob Bell. So, without further ado, please join me in welcoming Dr. Rob Bell, who's going to talk to us about mental toughness in business today.
I want to thank Nikki and Amber for inviting me, and Sonny. Unless I do a bad job, then Mike, you invited me.
It's not fair.
So, let me ask you a question. What do you think is the most important mental skill? What do you think is the most important mental skill? Because what I'm going to share today is about mental toughness. And mental toughness by itself will not win anybody a championship. It's not. It's not going to win anybody a job. It's not going to win anybody some kind of position. Just having mental toughness by itself. But not having mental toughness will lose it. Not being mentally tough will lose it. So the question I start with, what do you think is the most important mental skill? So mental toughness, we got to define it, right? Because it's a very sexy term. You'll hear it a lot. Grit, resiliency, determination, and it really boils down to this. Never, ever give up. Thank you all very much for having me. It's how do we deal with the struggle? How do we handle the setbacks? And how do we cope with the adversity? It's all mental toughness is. And the other part is, how well do we perform under pressure? So both of these, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, because we don't know what it's going to look like. One part I really want to share with you is about mental toughness. The other part I'd like to share with you is about the hinge. How many people have been here? The Greenbrier, West Virginia. All right, a couple. Very nice. This is America's resort, 5-star resort. If you ever get a chance to go, I really recommend it. So, the United States, back in the 50s and the 60s, we were in this thing called the Cold War. Eisenhower's president, and Eisenhower comes with this idea. He says, what do we do if we are attacked? How are we going to take all of Congress and keep a fully functioning government for the United States if we're attacked, if there's a nuclear attack? He loved this place. Dignitaries, foreign diplomats would always go there. He loved going to Greenbrier, so he came up with the idea, let's just build it at the Greenbrier. So what they did at this 5-star hotel, on the other side of the hotel, is they built a bunker. You can go and take the tour today. So only the people there in White Sulphur Springs knew what was going on. They built up another side of the hotel, and they put this secret bunker inside. Part of national defense from 1962 to 1992. If you take the tour, imagine in your head, what do you think that bunker would look like? Because it was massive. Had to house all of Congress. If you take the tour and you look, if we were nuclear attacked, what do you think those doors would look like? When you take the tour, the doors were so massive, they were 25-ton doors. 15 feet high, 19 feet long, these were 3 feet thick, 25 tons, and it took 50 pounds of pressure to open and close the door. So if you could do a push-up, you could open and close it. So what's the hinge? Why is that important? How could that work? Because when you look up at the corner, the hinges themselves were 1.5 tons each. It's the hinges that swing the doors. How does that apply to our life? Everybody give me 20 seconds, your undivided attention. Ready? Go. The hinge, every door has a hinge. A door without a hinge is a wall. It just doesn't work. So the hinge in our lives, it's going to be that one person, that one moment, or one event that makes all the difference. It's going to connect who we are with who we become. The beauty about it is it only takes one. So go ahead and space back out. That's all the hinge is. We are getting ready for a moment or a person that, you know what, we really don't know what it looks like or what it's going to come. What I believe is that it will come. Now, mental toughness is the importance of the hinges. We're already getting ready for that one moment. Look back at the Super Bowl, just 1 week, game of hinge moments, and it all came down to the very last play. Very last play. So let me share with you again one story about one hinge in my life, because you're going to be starting to think, hey, what have been the hinges in our lives? Because Steve Jobs said this: we can't connect the dots moving forward. We can only connect the dots looking back. If there are any Steve Jobs fans in here. So I'm showing you a cliff there. I went to school, Division II school in West Virginia. The reason why I'm showing this cliff is because I'm a freshman at the school playing baseball. Now at that time, drinking and girls really took a big precedence over playing baseball. Now, I always tell the athletes I work with, like, live any way you want, but like nothing good happens after midnight. You just really got to buy into that. Nothing good happens after midnight. So it's about 2 a.m. For some reason, we're partying right next to that bridge. About 2 a.m. next to that bridge is a cliff, and I end up walking right off this cliff. About 80-foot cliff. I'm laying at the bottom of this. My back's really messed up. My arm is broke. Blood's gushing out of my head. They have to crane me up out of this, take me to the hospital where my mom works. She's the oldest of 11, Catholic family, no sympathy on me. I'm about an hour from home, an hour from school. Mom, let me just come home for a little bit. Let me get recuperation. She's like, you're going right back to school. In a lot of pain. And I walk into the coach's office and say, Coach, I'm really sorry. Like, I messed up. It's not going to happen again. He said, Rob, man, I'm so thankful you're alive. Somebody's looking out for you. But you're not going to be playing baseball here. So, boom, hinge moment. Because from that point on, everything was different. Now, the thing about the hinge is this, is sometimes our mess actually becomes our message. Our test becomes our testimony. So it's never, ever about the setback, it's about the comeback. And how do we deal with that stuff? Because the next semester, having no idea what I wanted to do, I took a psychology class and I found out it was emblazed in my soul. What I wanted to do was help athletes and teams with mental toughness, sports psychology. Let me share with you a couple more hinge moments because maybe this one doesn't resonate. John Wooden, right? John Wooden, best coach of all time. I know you're going to love this because we're in Indiana. So John Wooden was going to be the head coach of Minnesota. He was going to get a call at 5 o'clock. He wanted to stay in the Midwest. He was going to get a call at 5 o'clock from Minnesota. He was going to be the head coach. He was going to get a call at 6 o'clock from this little school out west, and he was going to deny it. So 5 o'clock comes, there's no call. 5:30, 5:45 comes, there's no call. 6 o'clock comes, Coach Wooden, we want you to be the head coach at UCLA. Figure Minnesota backed out. He said, I accept. 6:15 call comes. It's a Minnesota official saying, Coach Wooden, we are so sorry. There was a blizzard up here. We could not get to the phone in time. We want you to be the head coach at Minnesota. Being the man of integrity, he said, I can't. I already accept the job at UCLA. So why is that important? Because besides the fact that he said if God didn't intervene, I would have been the head coach of Minnesota. But here's the part that I love, is what if? What if John Wooden would have been the head coach of Minnesota? Would it have still worked out the same? You know what if never happened? When we go through life a lot of times, man, I'm thinking, well, what if? What if never happened? It's the wrong question to ask. When we're driving down the road, we're not driving down the road looking at the rearview mirror. The windshield's bigger for a reason. So it really doesn't matter what happened last week or last year or even yesterday if we think that stuff's big or if it's setting us back, because it's not about the setback, it's about the comeback. Now, John Wooden also said this, I subscribe to the belief that things happen for a reason. That's just my belief. Maybe you don't believe that. That's fine. But what we've got to subscribe to then is that bad stuff's going to happen and good stuff's going to happen, and how do we respond from that? One just has us at the center, one has something else at the center. A couple other hinge moments here. So this one right here on the left, you want to talk about mental toughness? Really want to talk about mental toughness? Harriet Tubman. She got free. She was free as a slave, and she kept going back. She kept going back 19 times to save over 300 slaves. She had a pistol that would be with her. She had a gun that was with her, and the ransom on her head was about $40,000 back in the 1850s. She she had a gun with her because anybody that was going to come along on this trip, you can't turn around. You're in it. You want to talk about a hinge moment? She was supposed to be there at Harper's Ferry with John Brown. During that moment, she had clarity. Some people say she was sick. If you go and research that stuff, she said that wasn't a good idea. How history would have been different. Man, I just love that, because you would really want to talk about mental toughness with the strongest individuals of all time. How many people know the person on the right? Raise that hand. All right, shout it out. Who is it?
Scully.
Very nice, right? So he takes off for a routine flight from LaGuardia Airport. 90 seconds into the flight, loses all power to the engines because he hits this flock of birds on a routine flight to Charlotte. Now, he's over the most populated area in the whole world, and he knows he can't get it back to the airport. If you can YouTube this, and I really recommend it, YouTube him speaking with the air traffic controller, because he's as calm as a Hindu cow. Glad you like that, Chris. He said, my whole goal, my entire life, is to never crash an airplane. What I didn't realize is that my whole life was in preparation for that one moment. Because who else would you have wanted piloting that aircraft? So let me switch back to my original question. What do you think is the most important mental skill? What do you think it is? Because I think it's more important than we think. Somebody for the first few tables, give me an answer. I'm going to take 3 since I'm on time. Give me, what's one? Resilience, perseverance, persistence. Good. Somebody from the back?
Preparation.
Preparation. How you prepare? Peyton Manning would love that one. Anybody from the front, right here?
Have a goal.
Have a goal? What's your name?
Lisa.
Lisa, what do you?
Focus.
I always want to be like a game show host. All right, focus, right? Okay, good. I'm going to share with you what I think it is. And it really comes down, it really doesn't matter what I think it is, it matters what you think it is, and you got to drive that stuff home. Because what I believe is every single one of you is an athlete, your office is just different. The other part about this is every single one of you is a coach. What do I think the most important mental skill? Now let me take a step back. Think about this. There's studies being done at Eli Lilly right now. Half the people are going to get the drug that's going to save them, or supposedly save them, experimental drug. Half the people aren't going to get anything other than a sugar pill. And 30% of the people that get the sugar pill are going to get better. Some researchers, some scientists really believe that it's higher than 30%. That's the average. And they're taking nothing other than a sugar pill. This research was done in the 60s. It's called Pygmalion effect. What happened is everybody in this room, we took a standardized test on how successful we were going to be. And you know what? People at table 1, you all were special. These 4 people right here, they tested above and beyond anybody else. Very nice. At least that's what I was told. So what happened as the school year goes on, this study's been replicated thousands of times, the results are always the same. School year goes on, at the end of the year, everyone takes that test. Table number 1, you all scored above and beyond everybody else. But here's the rub. They weren't different than anybody else. But this is what happens, is coaches' expectations, people are going to form to those expectations, whatever I thought. So what did I do throughout the school year? Right, Sunday, don't worry about it. You know what? You're special. Take your time. You don't worry about that answer. You know, you got that because you guys are special. It's been replicated thousands of times, and it gets back to this mental skill. So this guy right here, what was his hinge moment? Because this is Roger Bannister. In 1954, he broke the 4-minute mile. His hinge moment was in 52. He finished 4th at the Olympics. The absolute worst place you can finish. But he said, I'm going to break the 4-minute mile. Physiologically, it was impossible. It could not be done. Exercise physiologists thought if they do that, his heart's going to explode. It can't be done. He breaks it. 16 months later, over 10 people have broken this skill. Have broken the 4-minute mile. Something that couldn't be done. A month later, it got broken. Man, I don't think we really understand how important this mental skill is for us and our team. Give me a shout. This is what I think it is. I think it's confidence. I think it's belief, and I think it's trust in our teams, in ourselves, and what we're trying to do, and our passion. Why? Because 1, we find evidence to support any of our beliefs. That's exactly where it starts. If we believe that the stock market is great, we're going to find evidence to support it. If we believe that the economy is bad, it's going to take a downturn, we're going to find evidence to support that. And what do, Tim? We just act as if. We just act as if. And that's where it starts. It starts with that belief and that trust. But I really think it goes deeper than that. And I want to share with you a couple of things about what's the residue of confidence. What is the residue of that? Am I doing okay? Because I think, look, it all works out in the end. If it hasn't, it's just not the end. Now, I can give everyone proof in here. Just raise your hand. I can give you proof that it all works out. Because we can talk about theory, about the hinge. I can share the stories. But I can give you proof if you want it. Show of hands. How many people want proof? Just a couple? Okay. Out of my proof, man. Here's my proof. It has so far. It has so far. And maybe not exactly the way you wanted it, but you know what? We're not the director in this play. We're only the actor. Confidence is contagious. The confidence is also patience. What I see with great athletes is they're patient. They're patient. They don't press it when they don't have to. They're patient. In any kind of sport, they're patient. You hear it all the time. Let the game come to me. They're patient. Let me share with you another thing. You know what confident athletes do? Confident individuals, people that have trust and belief in their lives, you know what they do? They let nothing bother them. You know what happens is when Rob loses confidence, everything bothers me. You know what? My shoe gets untied, like my daughter's yelling at me, everything bothers me. Why? Because I don't believe things are going to work out how I want to work out. It gets all back to confidence. But when you are confident, when you're at your best, nothing bothers you. Nothing bothers you because you're confident. I think this skill affects every other mental skill. I don't think we need to work harder. Everyone in here works harder, and that's great. We just got to believe more in what we're trying to do, and especially our team. Last point about this, you know how important confidence is? This is what I think it is. I think it's our inborn GPS. It's telling us where to go and the actions we should take if we listen to it. Because Rob can be driving down the road. Now, I should be taking a left turn here. No, I'm just going to drive straight. Right? I'm a guy. No, it's straight. I know exactly where it's at. It's our inborn GPS. If we trust it, the hinge is going to connect. Here's the other part that I really found fascinating. Is my GPS system, every time I put it on there, every time I'm following my phone, it's never said this. It's never said, how'd you end up here? How did you end up on this side of the street, Rob? Like, you aren't supposed to be here. Well, we do that all the time. It just says, you know what? Here's the direction. Get back home. It gets back to that mental skill. Now, a couple of you said this one. This is what I think confidence is. You're going to love this one. Because in this movie, The Patriot, Mel Gibson, in this scene, I love it. He grabs the flag, starts running up towards the front lines, bullet flying past him, cannonballs rolling by him. You know why he does this? He's Mel Gibson. You know they can't kill him in this scene because they kill him, the movie's over. We want to think we're one of the side players there. If they kill us, the movie can still go on. Again, we are the actor in our play. We're just not the director. But we got to be a confident actor. We owe it to ourselves to be confident. We owe it to ourselves, and not only trust ourselves, but to trust our team and the people we interact with. Think about it. You give a task to somebody you trust, you don't worry about it. You don't hope it's going to get done. You know it's going to get done. So your mind is clear. And a clear mind is a creative mind. A clear mind is a creative mind. How am I doing on time? A couple more slides? 5? Good. Thank you. Some people said this. Some people said focus. I believe confidence is king, but focus is queen. We can't be walking around all day like, you know, how do I get confident? I get confident. Like, what do I do? No. What happens is confidence is king, but it turns right into focus. Because if we're playing a game of chess, we don't win the game moving our king around. We win the game moving our queen. And it affects our focus. When we are confident, we are focused. And this is the part I only say about focus is we got to look at everything as a challenge. Everything as an opportunity. Or we look at everything as a threat. Something bad can happen. You know what? No grain of sand, no pearl. Where's our focus? Where's our focus? Everything is a challenge. Everything's an opportunity. And then if anyone's really good at this next mental skill, please let me know, because I still struggle with it, and I see everybody struggle with it. Last story I can share with you. No, I got 2 more stories. Dan Jansen, an Olympic speed skater. 1988 Olympics, he's the favorite in the 500, he's favored in the 1,000. And he finds out his sister died of leukemia, and he doesn't medal. He's the he's the world record holder, and he doesn't medal from the Olympics. 4 more years later, he has to wear that mistake for 4 years. 1992 Olympics comes, he's favored in the 500, he's favored in the 1,000, and he doesn't medal. He finishes 8th. So that was the year that the Olympics then were alternating years. 1994 comes, he's favored in the 500, he's no longer favored in the 1,000. He races the 500 and he finishes 6th. He's on the warm down bike with his coach, and his coach comes up and he says, you know what, it sucks. But you've got the 1,000 that's coming up, it's coming up in 2 days, you've got to let it go, you've got to let it go right now. He goes out to address the media and he says, I let it go on the bike. In his very last Olympic race, he wins the gold medal, so he was no longer favored. My daughter came home the other day crying. I asked her what was the matter, and all I did was say, hey, what would Elsa say? What would Elsa say? She was like, let it go. I was like, there you go. Refocus. And I think it is so difficult to do in our lives, because we make a mistake and it's really in our emotion. We didn't do something wrong, we're something wrong. Last story. Can I share this one? Last slide. I appreciate everybody listening to me. There's a story in the Bible that goes like this. Peter and Jesus. Jesus gets this guy named Peter, who's his right-hand man from the very beginning. He was his disciple, #1 guy. And Jesus goes along, and he's near the end, right before he's going to get arrested. He says, Peter, you're going to deny me 3 times. Now put yourself in Peter's situation for a second. Because if you're Jesus' right-hand man from the beginning, full of confidence, no way, I'm with you, I'm not going to deny you. Okay. He gets called out one time. He was like, that guy right there, he was with Jesus. He says, no, it wasn't me. A little girl calls him out, that guy right there, he was with Jesus. No, it wasn't me. 3rd time, he said, he was with Jesus. Now what Jesus said is, before the rooster crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. Peter hears that rooster crows, and this is the only one that says this, and this was a life-changing experience for me, because it says, the Lord turned and looked straight at Peter. Do me a favor, everybody, just close your eyes for a second. Close your eyes for 1 second. What do you think that look was? And go ahead and open your eyes. My whole life, it was my big brother and my dad saying, look, you fucked it together. And I really don't think that was the look at all. I really don't think that was the look. But it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. Because that look that you have in your head, that's what says so much about you. In my own viewpoint, I think that look was one of like, hey, I call it, dude. It's okay. We got bigger stuff to worry about than this, man. I call it. It's all right. Refocus. I'm really, really thankful. If anybody wants the book again, I've got it there in the back. But thank you all so much for having me.
All right, really, really good stuff. As Dr. Rob said, he's got a table set up in the back. If anybody would be interested in getting a copy of his book, you can get that back there, and he would probably even take a few moments to autograph it for you if you do so. But we have a few books up here that we'd like to give away today. So I want to start off by, first of all, recognizing our sponsors. So if the guys from Expedient would come up here, I'd love to give you guys a copy of this book, of Dr. Rob's book. Great. Thanks, man. Thank you. And then Randy and Craig, I'd love to give you guys a copy as well, so that you guys can read that and learn more about that. I'll tell you, I read Dr. Rob's book a couple of weeks ago. It's really, really good stuff, and it's got a lot more stories than the ones he shared with you today. So I still have 6 copies up here. So I'm going to ask a few questions, and we'll award the books based on who gets the questions right. Board members are not eligible, right? So Ben's leaving. So the first question is, who can tell me the closest how many people were at the January ConnectTech event last month? Anybody tell me how many were here?
141.
How many were there, Nikki? 127. So who was closest there? Right here? All right, so we have the winner. Congratulations. All right, so who can tell me, he doesn't have it up there still, does he? All right, good. Who can tell me how much the hinges weighed on the bunker door at the Greenbrier? Right back here. A ton and a half, you got it. Come on up. All right. Let me think. Who can tell me the name of Indianapolis's only professional soccer team? I saw somebody's hand in the back. Go. Yeah, you already heard it 3 times, but come on up anyway. You're all the way in the back. As you weave your way through the maze. There you go. All right, I got to come up with a couple more questions here. How many beers are there on tap at the district tap? 60. Right, somebody yell, oh, okay, we got it over here. 60 beers at the district tap. Don't try to drink them all today. All right. Let's see here. I need to ask another question. Let's do an Indianapolis question. All right.
What's the date of the next meeting?
Oh, there we go. What's the date of the next ConnectTech?
March 24th.
All right, get over here, Chris. You got it first. Good job. Good job, Harry. Thank you. I was struggling there a little bit. So, all right. And the last question is, what is the significance of the blue beads that I'm wearing? Right there, Daniel.
Board member.
Board member. That's it. Good job. Come on up, Daniel. All right. Anybody else that would like a book, see Dr. Rob in the back. Those of you who want one, take it back there. He'd be more than happy to autograph it for you. You're welcome to stay here and network. We've got this place for a while longer. And I know the district tap would be more than happy if you decide to take a little meeting over to the other side and buy one of those 60 beers, but only one. Have a good